Mark, your first time in Talca Park as the captain of Shelbourne Football Club. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal to be honest. Obviously I'm hugely honoured and proud, the family proud as well. As I said, it's a huge honour to be captain of this huge football club.
Did you see it coming?
No, I probably didn't allow myself to get ahead of myself in that sense. Either way, if I got it, if I didn't get it, it wasn't going to change who I am and how I approach this season and the work I put in this year. It's always going to be the team first for me, and make sure that I'm at the best of my abilities for the team.
Did it pop into your head when obviously it looked very likely Luke was going to have to step away? Like at what stage do you kind of look at it and go, geez, I might be in with a shout here?
I would say it was when we came back there for the gym, and a few of the boys probably saying to me, and I obviously took on the responsibility of the fines and things like that. I was already doing that, but you know, coming up with the new fines and putting it into the group, sort of then I was like thinking maybe it could be me, maybe it wasn't. But as I said there, that I didn't really try let myself get ahead of myself, because I don't want to be too let down, or because obviously I knew I'd be delighted to get it, but I didn't want to let myself get ahead of myself, as I said.
You got a chance to wear the armband a couple of times last year. Obviously yourself and Griff seemed to kind of trade it in and out. Did you maybe think it would have been Shane Griffin as he kind of seemed to step in when it wasn't there?
Yeah, definitely. He's a hugely experienced player. He's won league titles, cups, but also I was thinking it could have been any one of them. You look at Paddy Barrett, another person who's been around the league for years, won plenty of things, and then there's other players like Conor Cairns. JJ's been here at the club for a long time, so all them sort of I was hoping that they could have got it as well, and I knew it was just down to the gaffer and who he seemed fit to get it.
Not to put pressure on you, but Luke has been here so long. He's been a stand-up captain. He's been Mr. Shelbourne really. So is it strange to have to take his place?
Well, 100%. He's a huge loss already that we've seen in his restaurant since we went back. Just the standards he maintains, also the banter he brings. He's a very good person to have about the place. Always somebody that you can go to for advice. So yeah, look, he's been a massive hole in his restaurant, I would say, but one that we knew it was coming, so it sort of made it a bit more easy in a way. But yeah, it's definitely tough.
Pressure as a captain is probably inevitable. Are you looking forward to taking on that pressure?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're not wanting to continuously improve and embrace responsibility and take that on, then you're not really going in the right direction in my view. So look, it's definitely a pressure, but it's a pressure that is sort of a privilege, definitely, because to be captain of this club is a huge honour. But again, it comes back to just doing the sort of making sure your own house is in order first. So I have to maintain a high standard for myself, because I can't expect other people to listen to me if I'm not doing it myself.
Have you spoken to Luke about the role at all?
He was actually one of the first people to text me straight after. That's the type of person he is. And he sent me a lovely message. He's just that he was delighted for me. And he actually said that at the end, he says, go and do it better than me. But as we know, they're big boots to fill. So for me, it's more about doing it my way. Not try emulate myself with him, because if you try to be something you're not, people see straight through that and you lose all sort of credibility anyway. So as I said, and he actually said something similar. It's just, for me, nothing really changes. The gaffer obviously seen something in me, the coaching staff, for what way I act and behave around the dressing room as it is, so not much has to change.
I think a lot of people, when they think of the armband and the captaincy, they think of 90 minutes on a Friday night. Is there way more to the captaincy role, especially being the club captain, than people might think?
Yeah, there definitely is, and that's probably something that I'm learning now pretty quick. As I said there, the fines, just different rules. You know, people might come to you about different small things around that need sorted out. I suppose my phone's a bit more busy than I was used to, so them sort of wee things, yeah, definitely. But as I said there, I'm lucky enough that I can call Luke one of my best friends, so he's definitely somebody that I will lean on. Try not too much, because I want to make sure that I'm able to do it myself. And you have to live and learn, but yeah, it's definitely, there's more responsibilities than just being out there and setting the standard on the pitch.
So you become the captain in a huge year for the club, obviously back in European competition for the first time since 2006. The way we qualified for Europe was probably a little bit mad in the end. We had 3 wins and a draw towards the end of last year, got us there. we made it probably hard work of the last 2 games, especially UCD here and Drogheda it away. Did you feel coming towards the end of last season that we could do this, we could definitely nick that 4th spot?
Yeah, definitely. I felt like we were building steadily throughout the year. And then I remember the first 3 games, I think, of the last round. I think we won 3 on the bounce against big teams. I think Dundalk was one of them. I might be wrong there, but I remember it was 3 big games, and we were all looking at the remaining fixtures and we were thinking we can definitely do this. And as I said, like, the Gafford demands them standards, so they're at training every day. You're just sort of taking week by week then, and we just kept getting result by result. And yeah, there's definitely a huge belief there come the last 3 games of the season.
The Drogheda game in particular, you're obviously 2-0 down at half time. I think it was a weird atmosphere in the stands. It was kind of this is very Shells like, but at the same time there didn't seem to be a panic. I remember turning around to the lads at the game saying, I still think we might actually do this. I'm not too worried. I interviewed you and 2 lads after the game, and you all said that there was no throwing teacups around the dressing room, there was no roaring and shouting. It was very calm and composed. Is that normal in that situation with so much on the line and that much calmness at half time?
I think if the first half had gone differently, in the sense that we were extremely poor and we conceded 2 goals, then maybe would have been a few teacups thrown about. But I think it was that we could have been 3 or 4 up just as easy as 2-0 down. And you look at their second goal, it's like it's a wonderful goal by Adam Foley. There's not much you can do about it. So we sort of knew ourselves that we were still in the game, and because we created them chances, we knew we could get them again in the second half. So that's probably why it was so calm. And we obviously added experience last year, and that all adds to it as well. Keeping that calm, and we could just see that if we kept doing what we were doing, we were going to score. And I think once we knew once we got one, we would go on and win it.
It was a strange situation because it felt like that night felt like we qualified for Europe, and obviously we hadn't. We were kind of waiting on a favour. I remember asking yourself, Paddy Barrett and Jack Moylan after the game, were you going to watch the cup final? And he's all kind of grinned and no, I don't think we will. Did you watch the game in the end?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Where did you watch?
I was actually on holidays at the time. I was in Tenerife with my family. Yeah, we watched it there, and look, remember the start of the game, there was a bit of Bows were sort of on top, so we were a bit scared, but fair dues to Pats. Again, set pieces, wins big games, and they did it. But yeah, we were just absolutely delighted after the game, and sort of didn't really know how to feel because we were in Europe. You were with your teammates, like, so it wasn't a proper celebration. But yeah, just probably relief that all the hard work that went into that year actually accumulated for something.
You're coming into your 3rd season now with Shells. Did you ever imagine when you came here from Finn Harps that after 2 seasons done, you'd be the captain and leading the club into a European campaign?
Definitely not. It's not something that I envisioned when I first came here. Probably for me, it was taking it year by year. The first year was probably very tough. One of my toughest years of football, to be honest with you, with that injury that I had. I could never really seem to get fit, and I felt like I was letting everybody down. My teammates, the gaffer, the coaching staff, and the fans as well, because they didn't really see much of me after, I would say, the first half of the season. So I found that really tough. But then last year, I was just sort of focused. Got back in the team, started well, had a few niggle injuries, but then had a relatively good year. And I was just sort of focused on myself and making sure that I was doing my best for the team, giving 100% every week. I think the fans could see that with the way I play, and that was just really my main focus. And then I don't think I really thought about the caps or anything else. I was just wanting to be here and making sure that I am playing to the best of my ability, continuously improving. And that's probably something that I'll keep now. As I said, yeah, I'm captain, but at the end of the day, it's the basics that get you here, so you have to keep focusing on that side of it.
Coming into this season, obviously we were back very, very early for pre-season. It seems to be a hallmark that the manager has, that he does get back earlier than everyone else. Does that require a buy-in from players? Are you risking upsetting bodies maybe, or does the manager kind of sign players that he knows will just fit into that mould?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you, where he knows he signs people that will buy in, but there's also players that mightn't buy in. But it's the culture that him and the coaching staff have created and we've bought into. I would say a lot of it's, we drive it on just as much, and something that I would really hope we do this year more is that we are the ones driving the standards. I felt probably the last 2 years we relied quite a bit on him in terms of training and all. Some days a bad day of training, they were the ones driving the standards. So something this year that we can look at is probably us as a collective driving that, and keeping them standards high. But yeah, I think it's the culture within the group, and we always say it, everybody that gets interviewed, that it's a great group, and the boys that have come in this year have added again to the group. There's a few great characters in there, a wealth of experience now as well, some top quality players. So yeah, it's a great dress room, and we all want the same thing, and that's to do well for this club.
Is it a strange time of the year with, obviously you mentioned there, new signings, and look, we've lost some big bodies, like Jack Moylan springs straight to mind, Luke Byrne. Is that part of your role now as the captain to kind of make sure things mesh together, or is that just something you can't really force, it just has to organically happen?
Yeah, I wouldn't say you try to force it, but there's definitely things that you try to implement and make sure that everybody's involved. You know, just making sure everybody's chatting together or including people in that's new, especially. But as I said, the majority of the people that came in have clicked right away, so it hasn't really been that tough. Yeah, we've lost a few big bodies. You said a few great characters, or I spoke about Luke, but Jack's another one. His quality on the pitch, but he was also a big personality off it, so he's a massive loss. But yeah, we're lucky enough, and I'd say that's down to the gaffer and the coaching staff doing their homework on the players that they've recruited. For me, they've recruited brilliantly this year, and as I said, they've fitted right in.
You had your annual army boot camp yesterday, I believe. How did that go?
Yeah, it was tough. It was an unorthodox one. It was ran by Davy Mack. I tell you, he could do a great job at acting because he played the role quite well. But no, that there's another thing where people might look at it as not football relevant, but it really is. How it brings the group together. You see who's mentally strong, you see who's mentally weak, but you see who's willing to do the most for the team, and who's willing to put in the work. So it's a great way that way, and that bonding as well. Everybody's chatting about it, the laugh. Some of the people, there's just the things that happen on it. It's always a good bonding experience.
You said there you can maybe see who the strong ones are and maybe who might be a little bit behind. Do you think players can bounce back from that? If they struggle with that, can the rest of the group drag them up?
Oh, 100%. I think that's what's most important about a culture, is making sure that everybody comes to that standard. As I said to you already, that with the players we brought in, the players that have been here for a few years, we know what the manager demands, the standards he expects, what the coaching staff expect. So it's up to us really to set them standards ourselves first and foremost. As I said, we have to look after our own house first. But yeah, making sure that they come and reach them standards. I'm not saying that the people who are behind obviously were the new boys, but that's just the way it went there. But yeah, look, it's something that we need to look at ourselves. We're the ones driving it, as I said, and we're the ones across the pitch for the white line.
So all these army boot camps, all the fitness work, tactical work you do in pre-season, ultimately it all builds towards the 16th of February, the first game of the season, away to Waterford. Were you keeping an eye out to see what the first game was? Did you kind of have a little psych yourself saying, probably could have got a slightly easier game than that one?
Look, I wouldn't have thought that. No, I definitely kept an eye out. You obviously would love a home game, the first game of the season, but it is what it is. I don't think there's any easy games. I've said this every year I think I've been here, and this year's no different. If not, it's probably harder. You look at the two teams that come up, Galway and Waterford, two massive clubs. You look like they've recruited well as well, so I don't think there's any easy game. So you have to just take it as it comes. We have to be ready for whatever comes our way, and I'm sure we will be come February 16th.
Then the following week, the first home game here is against Shamrock Rovers, a huge Rings End derby, and you'll get to lead the team out for the first time as the captain here in Talca Park. How much are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, massively. It would obviously be a huge proud moment for me and my family. But I'd probably take it back to pre-season first, where I have to make sure that I'm injury free and I'm in the starting 11. That's probably where my mindset is at the minute, just making sure that I'm right and ready to go before the start of the season. Just because I got the arm, it doesn't guarantee me minutes on the pitch, but and when it comes to that game, I really do hope that I'm leading that team out, because it will be a hugely proud moment for me. I would love it, and to lead the team out in front of our home fans for the first home game of the season would be a huge honour.
Is that another pressure, just as you mentioned it there, I thought of it, that just because you have that armband doesn't necessarily guarantee a spot in the starting 11. Is that an added pressure for you in pre-season now that I have to be there, I have to start that game as the captain?
Nah, not necessarily, no. I wouldn't look at it like that. As I said, it's a privilege to be a captain, so I'm honoured, I'm excited, I'm delighted that I am. It's just the way football is, it's the way the gaffer is, it's the way the coach staff is. Nobody's guaranteed their place. And as I said, we recruited extremely well this year. There's competition for places, so you can't take anything for granted. And for me, complacency is a killer. So it's something that I don't want to have in my game. So that's probably why I'm thinking like that. But I know I have to be at my best to make sure that I'm starting.
There's been record season ticket sales this year, the most season tickets ever sold. Even when we were dominating leagues here, didn't sell as many season tickets as we had this year. How important is that home crowd going to be here, especially?
Oh yeah, massive. It's been the same every year that I've been here. We've got great fans. I just look around the club since I've been here, how welcome. I look at the likes of yous that are here in the media, the Watsons, how much it means to yous, this club. And that does rub off on us as players. And then you go out on the pitch and you see that river sand, just how the flares, the flags, everything, the noise, it's really hits home with you how big this club is. So it really spurs you on, especially before the game starts. But when the game starts, I suppose we're in the zone. But yeah, they're a huge factor for us to win games here at Tulka.
You had one of the highest win percentages last season. We did have an awful lot of draws last season, 15. I think it's definitely a record for Shell's most drawn games ever in a league campaign. What is going to be the difference between drawing those games and getting them over the line and turning 1 into 3 points?
Yeah, if you look at probably where we drop points, a lot of it was on set pieces. I think we had a stat, I think it was 14 goals, which was 55% of the goals we conceded last year, which is way too much. So that's something we definitely have to address and eradicate from our game. If you eradicate that, you probably are looking at further up the table, maybe competing for the title, you never know. So that's probably the first thing. And then it's having the belief to go and win games. I feel like maybe at the start of last year we lacked that bit of belief, and come the end of the year, you sort of seen that change with the UCD game and the Drogheda game. We've gone behind and we've went on to win the games. So yeah, it's probably a factor of them two things. And then we always have to be the same, where we are so hard to beat. We can't lose that. We've brought in quality now, but we definitely cannot lose that side of our game, where it's the hustle bustle and nothing's easy for the opposition. So it's a mixture of things where we can all change.
Mark, this week last season I asked Jack Moylan what the goals were for the season, and straight away he said qualify for Europe. Does that stay the same this year? Yeah,
definitely. Its goal is to get Europe again this year, but I'd say our ambitions is to reach for as high as we can. We want to try and compete with the top teams in the country. We're an ambitious team, an ambitious manager, coaching staff, and I don't think if you don't aim for that, you're never going to get there. So yeah, we're definitely aiming high and we want to compete this year.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
20 minutes.
Definitely need to improve.